In the heart of the American Southwest lies one of the most unforgiving landscapes on our planet. This is a realm where survival is not guaranteed, where every drop of water is precious, and where life has been sculpted by millions of years of extreme conditions into forms so remarkable, so perfectly adapted, that they seem almost alien to our eyes. The Mojave Desert stretches across 47,000 square miles of raw, untamed wilderness. By day, the scorching sun transforms this landscape into a furnace that can reach temperatures of 134 degrees Fahrenheit. By night, the same desert becomes a frozen wasteland where temperatures plummet to near freezing. This is nature's ultimate testing ground, where only the most resilient, the most ingenious, and the most perfectly evolved creatures can hope to survive. Welcome to the Mojave Desert, where life doesn't just endure, it conquers. In the pre-dawn stillness, when the desert air holds the last whisper of coolness before the sun transforms the landscape into a furnace, a living relic emerges from its carefully constructed burrow. The desert tortoise, weighing up to 15 pounds, and carrying a shell that has evolved over millions of years into a perfect fortress of survival, begins another day in its relentless pursuit of life, in one of Earth's most challenging environments. This ancient creature, whose lineage stretches back to the age of dinosaurs, moves with deliberate precision across the hardpan desert floor. Each step is calculated, each movement conserving precious energy and body moisture. Its shell, a masterwork of natural engineering, reflects the harsh desert sun while providing protection from both the elements and predators. But this armor comes at a cost. The tortoise must carry this weight across landscapes, where every calorie burned brings it closer to the edge of survival. The desert tortoise has mastered perhaps the most crucial skill in Mojave survival: water conservation. Its bladder can store nearly 40% of its body weight in water, transforming the tortoise into a living reservoir during the long months when rainfall is nothing more than a memory. When the rare desert storms do arrive, the tortoise positions itself to collect every precious drop that runs off its shell, drinking deeply and storing water that may sustain it for an entire year. During the scorching summer months, when surface temperatures can exceed 140 degrees Fahrenheit, the tortoise retreats to burrows it has excavated with powerful claws, some extending 10 feet into the earth, where temperatures remain a relatively comfortable 80 degrees. These burrows, architectural marvels of animal engineering, may be used for decades and often provide shelter for other desert creatures seeking refuge from the killing heat. As autumn approaches and temperatures moderate, the tortoise emerges to feed on the desert's sparse but nutritious vegetation. Desert marigolds, fairy dusters, and various cacti provide both sustenance and moisture. The tortoise's powerful jaws, equipped with sharp cutting edges instead of teeth, can process the toughest desert plants, extracting maximum nutrition from minimal resources. But even this master of desert survival faces challenges that test the limits of its evolutionary adaptations. As the tortoise methodically makes its way across an open wash, searching for fresh growth after a recent rain, it remains unaware that it shares this landscape with one of the desert's most efficient predators. Moving like a flowing ribbon across the sand, leaving behind a distinctive pattern of J-shaped tracks, the sidewinder rattlesnake embodies the very essence of desert predation. This remarkable serpent, rarely exceeding 30 inches in length, has evolved a form of locomotion so perfectly suited to loose sand that it appears to dance across the desert floor with supernatural grace. The sidewinder's unique method of movement serves multiple purposes beyond mere transportation. By lifting sections of its body off the burning sand, it minimizes contact with the scorching surface, preventing potentially lethal overheating. The sidewinding motion also provides exceptional traction on loose surfaces, where conventional serpentine movement would be inefficient and energy-consuming. Coiled beneath a creosote bush, the sidewinder becomes virtually invisible, its sand-colored scales and distinctive horn-like projections above its eyes breaking up its outline perfectly against the dappled desert background. Here, it employs a hunting strategy refined over millions of years of evolution, absolute patience combined with explosive action. The snake's heat-sensitive pit organs, located between its eyes and nostrils, can detect temperature differences as small as 0.03 of a degree Celsius. This allows it to track warm-blooded prey in complete darkness, essentially seeing heat signatures as clearly as we see visible light. When a kangaroo rat or pocket mouse ventures within striking distance, the sidewinder's attack is swift and decisive. The strike itself is a masterpiece of biomechanical engineering. In less than a quarter of a second, the snake extends its fangs, injects its potent hemotoxic venom, and withdraws to safety. The venom begins breaking down tissue immediately, and the prey's attempts to escape only pump the toxin more quickly through its circulatory system. During the peak summer heat, the sidewinder adopts a remarkable behavioral adaptation called sand swimming. It literally buries itself in loose sand with only its eyes and the tip of its tail exposed, creating a living trap that can remain motionless for hours, while maintaining optimal body temperature in the sand's insulating embrace. As the sidewinder patrols its territory during the cooler evening hours, its presence influences the behavior of numerous prey species throughout the area. But in the complex web of Mojave Desert ecology, even apex predators must remain vigilant, for the desert harbors other hunters equally well adapted to this harsh environment. As twilight paints the desert sky in shades of amber and purple, a ghostly figure emerges from a burrow hidden among the roots of a Joshua tree. The kit fox, smallest member of the North American fox family, weighs barely 4 pounds but possesses physical adaptations that make it one of the desert's most efficient nocturnal predators. Those enormous ears, nearly as large as the fox's head, serve as both sophisticated listening devices and efficient cooling systems. Like natural satellite dishes, they can detect the faintest sounds, the rustle of a kangaroo rat moving through dried vegetation, the scratch of tiny claws on rock, or the almost inaudible breathing of prey hidden in desert shadows. Simultaneously, the large surface area of these ears allows rapid heat dissipation, helping the fox maintain optimal body temperature during its nightly hunts. The kit fox's feet are another marvel of desert adaptation. Thick fur covers the pads, providing insulation from both scorching sand and sharp rocks, while improving traction on loose surfaces. This natural snowshoe effect allows the fox to move silently across terrain that would challenge larger predators, pursuing prey into narrow crevices and rocky hideouts, where bulk would be a disadvantage. Moving through the desert with supernatural stealth, the kit fox employs hunting techniques that combine patience, speed, and remarkable agility. It can leap vertically over 3 feet from a standing position, pouncing on prey with deadly accuracy. When pursuing fleet-footed rodents, the fox employs a bounding gait that can cover ground at speeds up to 25 miles per hour, while its flexible spine allows it to change direction instantly. The fox's diet reflects the opportunistic nature necessary for desert survival. Kangaroo rats form the staple of its diet, but it also hunts pocket mice, ground squirrels, insects, and even small reptiles. During seasons when prey is abundant, the kit fox caches excess food in scattered locations throughout its territory, creating a network of emergency reserves that may mean the difference between survival and starvation during lean periods. Water conservation in the kit fox has reached extraordinary levels of efficiency. The animal can survive indefinitely without drinking, extracting all necessary moisture from its prey. Its kidneys are so efficient at concentrating waste that it produces minimal urine, and its respiratory system recovers moisture from exhaled air with remarkable effectiveness. As the kit fox concludes its hunt in the pre-dawn darkness, carefully carrying its prey back to the safety of its burrow, the desert around it begins to stir with the approach of day. But not all of the Mojave's inhabitants retreat from the coming heat, for some have evolved to embrace the sun's power as a tool for survival. Riding the thermal columns that rise like invisible elevators from the sun-heated desert floor, a red-tailed hawk circles at an altitude of over 1,000 feet, its keen eyes scanning the terrain below with a visual acuity 8 times sharper than human sight. This magnificent raptor, with a wingspan that can exceed 4 feet, has adapted its traditionally woodland hunting strategies to master the open expanses and unique challenges of desert predation. The hawk's flight patterns in the desert demonstrate remarkable energy conservation strategies, rather than relying on continuous wing beating, which would quickly lead to dehydration and exhaustion in the desert heat. The red-tailed hawk has mastered the art of soaring. It reads the desert's thermal map with precision, identifying rising columns of hot air that can lift it to hunting altitudes with minimal energy expenditure. From its aerial vantage point, the hawk can survey territories covering several square miles, watching for the telltale movements that indicate prey. Its visual system has evolved to detect the slightest motion against the desert floor, a ground squirrel darting between creosote bushes, a rabbit emerging from shade, or even large reptiles moving across open ground. The hawk's eyes contain a high density of photoreceptors and are equipped with special oil droplets that act as natural filters, reducing glare and enhancing contrast in the bright desert environment. When prey is detected, the red-tailed hawk's hunting strategy becomes a masterpiece of aerial physics. It adjusts its position to account for wind speed and direction, then begins a controlled dive that can reach speeds of over 100 miles per hour. Its talons, equipped with grip strength capable of exerting over 200 pounds per square inch of pressure, strike with devastating precision. The hawk's diet in the Mojave reflects the opportunistic adaptability necessary for desert survival. While small mammals form the core of its diet, it also hunts reptiles, including snakes and large lizards, and even takes ground-dwelling birds when opportunities arise. During times of abundance, the hawk caches excess prey in secure locations, creating food reserves that buffer against the feast or famine cycles common in desert ecosystems. Nesting in the desert presents unique challenges that the red-tailed hawk has overcome through behavioral adaptation. Pairs select nest sites that provide both elevation and protection from the extreme desert sun, often choosing large Joshua trees or rocky outcrops that offer natural shade during the hottest parts of the day. The hawks time their breeding season to coincide with peak prey availability, ensuring that their energy-intensive parenting duties occur when food resources are most abundant. As the red-tailed hawk continues its patient aerial surveillance, the desert below reveals the constant movement of creatures adapted to different temporal niches. While some seek shade from the climbing sun, others are just beginning their daily activities, having evolved to thrive in conditions that would quickly overwhelm less adapted species. High on the seemingly impossible cliff faces that rise like fortresses from the desert floor, a remarkable ungulate demonstrates climbing abilities that rival those of any mountain goat. The desert bighorn sheep, with its magnificent curved horns and compact muscular build, has evolved to exploit the three-dimensional landscape of the Mojave's mountainous terrain, finding resources and safety in places where few other large mammals dare to venture. The bighorn's hooves are marvels of evolutionary engineering, perfectly adapted for navigation across treacherous rocky terrain. The outer edge is hard and sharp, providing excellent grip on smooth rock surfaces, while the inner portion remains softer and more flexible, allowing the hoof to conform to irregular surfaces and provide maximum contact with the rock. This design enables the sheep to bound across cliff faces with astounding confidence, making leaps that would be fatal for less adapted animals. A mature ram, weighing up to 280 pounds and carrying horns that can weigh 30 pounds alone, demonstrates the extraordinary strength and balance required for vertical desert survival. These horns serve multiple purposes. They are weapons during the spectacular clashing battles that determine mating rights, tools for clearing vegetation and breaking ice during rare winter freezes, and symbols of genetic fitness that communicate status within the herd's complex social hierarchy. The bighorn's relationship with water in the desert environment showcases one of nature's most impressive examples of resource mapping and memory. These sheep maintain detailed mental maps of every water source within their territory, some spanning areas of over 25 square miles. They can navigate directly to springs and tinajas that may be dozens of miles apart, following ancient pathways that have been used by their species for thousands of years. During the scorching summer months, bighorn sheep employ sophisticated behavioral thermoregulation. They seek shade in caves and deep rock overhangs during the heat of the day, emerging to feed during the cooler morning and evening hours. Their dark-colored coats, which might seem counterproductive in a desert environment, actually serve to create convective air currents that help cool their bodies, while their light-colored undersides reflect heat away from their core. The sheep's digestive system has evolved remarkable efficiency in processing the sparse, often thorny vegetation available in their rocky habitat. They can extract nutrition from plants that most other ungulates find indigestible, including various cacti, whose spines they navigate with their tough lips and tongue. During spring blooms, they feed selectively on the most nutritious parts of desert wildflowers, maximizing nutrient intake when resources are briefly abundant. As a ram carefully picks its way along a narrow ledge, dislodged stones clatter down the cliff face, creating sounds that carry far across the desert silence. These acoustic signatures alert other desert dwellers to the presence of large animals in motion, and in the complex predator-prey relationships of the Mojave. Such information can trigger behavioral responses throughout the ecosystem. In the blue-shadowed canyons where water occasionally pools in hidden basins carved from ancient granite, a master predator moves with fluid silence through landscape that would challenge the most experienced human mountaineer. The mountain lion, also known as the cougar or puma, represents the apex of mammalian predation in the Mojave Desert, combining power, stealth, and intelligence in a package perfectly adapted for hunting in the vertical desert environment. This magnificent cat, weighing up to 180 pounds and measuring 8 feet from nose to tail tip, has evolved hunting strategies specifically adapted to the desert's unique challenges. Unlike their counterparts in forested environments, desert mountain lions must contend with sparse cover, extreme temperature variations, and prey species that have evolved exceptional wariness and escape abilities. The lion's approach to a potential hunting ground demonstrates the patience and intelligence that make it such an effective predator. Moving through a rocky wash where desert bighorn sheep trails converge near a hidden spring, the cat reads the landscape like a three-dimensional map. Every track, every scat marking, every rub on a Joshua tree provides information about prey movements, timing, and vulnerability. The mountain lion's physical adaptations for desert hunting are extraordinary. Its large paws, equipped with retractable claws, provide silent movement across loose rock and sand, while offering the traction necessary for the explosive acceleration required to overtake prey. The cat's powerful hindquarters can propel it vertically up to 18 feet and horizontally over 45 feet in a single bound, allowing it to navigate the desert's vertical terrain with remarkable agility. Water requirements present a constant challenge for large desert predators, but the mountain lion has evolved several strategies to minimize water loss and maximize acquisition. It obtains most of its water from prey, consuming blood and tissue fluids with remarkable efficiency. Its kidneys are extremely effective at concentrating waste, and it typically drinks only when water sources are readily available and safe to approach. The lion's hunting success rate in the desert environment is lower than in more prey-rich environments, but each successful kill provides substantially more resources. A single adult bighorn sheep can sustain a mountain lion for over a week, allowing it to remain near water sources and avoid the energy expenditure of constant hunting. The cat often caches large kills in cave or overhang locations where the meat remains cooler and is protected from scavengers. As the mountain lion settles into a patient wait near a well-used game trail, the desert around it continues its complex dance of survival and adaptation. But not all of the Mojave's inhabitants rely on large prey for sustenance. Some have evolved to exploit resources so small and specialized that they exist in ecological niches invisible to larger predators. The approaching dawn brings activity from creatures that have evolved entirely different strategies for desert survival. Some have learned to harness the very heat that drives most animals to shelter, using thermal energy as a tool rather than an obstacle. Coiled in perfect symmetry beneath an overhanging ledge of weathered sandstone, a western diamondback rattlesnake embodies 6 million years of evolutionary refinement in predatory efficiency. This magnificent serpent, reaching lengths of over 5 feet and weighing up to 10 pounds, represents one of the most sophisticated thermal predators ever evolved, capable of detecting and striking warm-blooded prey in complete darkness with deadly precision. The diamondback's heat-sensing pit organs, located in small depressions between the eyes and nostrils, contain specialized membranes that can detect infrared radiation from warm objects. These biological heat sensors are so sensitive that they can detect temperature differences as small as 0.003 degrees Celsius, while essentially allowing the snake to see heat signatures as clearly as visible images. This thermal vision enables the snake to track prey movements, judge distances accurately, and strike with pinpoint accuracy even in absolute darkness. The snake's fangs represent a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering. These hollow needle-sharp teeth can inject venom deep into prey tissue, delivering a complex cocktail of enzymes that begins breaking down cellular structure immediately upon injection. The venom serves dual purposes. It quickly immobilizes prey, preventing escape and the energy expenditure that would result from a prolonged chase, and it begins the digestive process even before consumption begins. During the cooler months, the diamondback employs remarkable behavioral thermoregulation strategies. It positions itself to maximize exposure to morning and afternoon sun, using its dark dorsal coloration to absorb heat efficiently. As body temperature rises, the snake becomes increasingly active and alert, with strike speed and accuracy improving dramatically as optimal thermal conditions are achieved. The rattlesnake's defensive capabilities extend far beyond its venomous bite. The iconic rattle at the tip of its tail serves as both a warning system and a sophisticated acoustic device. The rattle can produce sounds ranging from barely audible whispers to aggressive buzzing that can be heard from over 60 feet away. This warning system often prevents confrontations that might injure the snake, conserving energy for hunting and reducing the risk of injury from larger potential threats. Feeding strategies in the western diamondback reflect the feast or famine nature of desert predation. When prey is abundant, the snake may consume animals weighing up to 25% of its own body weight, then remain inactive for weeks while digesting its meal. This ability to consume large prey items and survive extended periods without feeding allows the snake to maintain energy reserves during seasons when prey is scarce. As the diamondback settles into its patient wait for prey, its presence influences the behavior of numerous small mammals throughout the area. The complex web of predator-prey relationships extends vertically, as well as horizontally through the desert ecosystem, and high above, aerial predators have evolved their own specialized hunting strategies adapted to the unique challenges of the Mojave environment. As darkness transforms the desert landscape into a realm of shadows and whispered sounds, a great horned owl launches itself from a perch high in an ancient Joshua tree, its 5-foot wingspan carrying it silently across the cooling desert floor. This magnificent nocturnal predator, standing nearly 2 feet tall and weighing up to 5 pounds, has evolved hunting capabilities that make it one of the most effective night predators in the Mojave ecosystem. The owl's flight represents one of nature's most perfect examples of acoustic stealth technology. Specialized feathers along the leading edges of its wings break up air turbulence that would normally create sound, while soft, fringed trailing edges eliminate the noise typically generated by air flowing over wing surfaces. This silent flight allows the owl to approach prey without detection, turning the darkness into a deadly advantage. The great horned owl's hearing has evolved to function as a 3-dimensional tracking system. Its facial disc acts as a parabolic reflector, focusing sound waves toward asymmetrically placed ear openings that allow the bird to pinpoint the exact location of prey through triangulation. The owl can detect and locate a mouse rustling through dried vegetation from over 100 yards away, even in complete darkness. Those distinctive ear tufts which give the species its name are not ears at all, but specialized feathers that may serve multiple functions. They likely help break up the owl's outline for camouflage purposes, and may also serve as visual communication signals with other owls. The actual ears are hidden beneath facial feathers, and are equipped with movable flaps that can be adjusted to optimize hearing for different hunting conditions. The owl's eyes represent another evolutionary marvel adapted for nocturnal desert hunting. They are proportionally enormous, gathering available light with remarkable efficiency. The high density of rod cells in the retina provides exceptional low-light vision, while the eye's tubular shape maximizes light-gathering capacity. The owl's night vision is approximately 100 times more sensitive than human vision. Hunting strategies in the great horned owl demonstrate remarkable adaptability to desert conditions. Unlike owls in more densely vegetated environments, the desert great horned owl often hunts from exposed perches, using its exceptional vision and hearing to detect prey across wide expanses of open ground. It can take prey ranging from insects and small rodents to rabbits, skunks, and even other raptors. The owl's powerful talons exert crushing pressure of over 500 pounds per square inch, instantly killing most prey upon impact. This quick kill mechanism is crucial in the desert environment, where prolonged struggles with prey could attract scavengers or other predators to the kill site. As the great horned owl glides silently through the night air, hunting the creatures that emerge under cover of darkness, the desert ecosystem continues its complex 24-hour cycle of activity. But survival in the Mojave requires more than just avoiding nocturnal predators. Some species have evolved to become masters of concealment so complete that they seem to disappear entirely into their surroundings. Among the formidable spines of a massive barrel cactus, where most animals would find only painful barriers to movement, a desert wood rat methodically constructs one of the most impressive architectural achievements in the animal kingdom. This medium-sized rodent, weighing up to 8 ounces and measuring nearly a foot in length including its bushy tail, has evolved to not only survive among the desert's most heavily armed plants, but to thrive by transforming their defensive weapons into the building materials for impregnable fortresses. The wood rat's nest, called a midden, represents generations of construction effort passed down through wood rat families. Moving with deliberate, unhurried steps across the desert floor, its beaded skin glowing like a living mosaic of orange and black in the morning sunlight. The Gila monster embodies a completely different survival strategy from the fleet-footed species that share its habitat. This remarkable lizard, North America's largest native venomous reptile, can reach lengths of nearly 2 feet and weigh up to 5 pounds, representing millions of years of evolutionary refinement in slow but steady predation techniques. The Gila monster's distinctive coloration serves as both camouflage and warning system. The bold patterns of orange, pink, yellow, and black break up the lizard's outline among the dappled shadows cast by desert vegetation, making it surprisingly difficult to detect when motionless. Simultaneously, these bright colors serve as aposematic warning signals to potential predators, advertising the lizard's venomous capabilities and potentially dangerous defensive responses. The lizard's venom delivery system represents one of nature's most primitive but effective toxic weapons. Unlike snakes, which inject venom through hollow fangs, the Gila monster's venom flows through grooved teeth from modified salivary glands in the lower jaw. The lizard's bite and hold technique allows venom to flow into wounds through capillary action, creating a slow but highly effective envenomation process that can immobilize prey and discourage predators. Foraging behavior in the Gila monster demonstrates remarkable efficiency in energy conservation. The lizard can survive on as few as 3 large meals per year, storing fat in its thick tail and throughout its body to sustain it through extended periods of inactivity. When hunting, it employs its extraordinary sense of smell, flicking its forked tongue to collect chemical information that its vomeronasal organ processes with remarkable sensitivity. The Gila monster's diet reflects its role as one of the desert's most specialized predators of vulnerable prey. It raids the nests of ground-dwelling birds, consuming eggs and nestlings with methodical efficiency. Small mammals, particularly young rabbits and rodents in their nests, form another important component of its diet. The lizard's powerful jaws and muscular neck allow it to consume prey items that would be impossible for smaller predators to handle. Temperature regulation in this large reptile requires sophisticated behavioral strategies due to its substantial thermal mass. The Gila monster spends over 90% of its time underground in burrows or hidden in rock crevices, emerging primarily during the moderate temperatures of spring and fall, when thermal conditions allow extended surface activity. During summer heat, it may remain inactive for months, living off stored body fat while avoiding the energy costs of thermal regulation. As the Gila monster continues its patient search for prey, moving through the desert with ancient determination, its presence influences the behavior of numerous other species. In the cool shadow cast by a massive Joshua tree, where the sparse desert vegetation grows slightly thicker due to the tree's ability to collect and channel rare rainfall, a desert cottontail rabbit sits motionless, its large ears rotating like radar dishes to monitor the acoustic landscape for approaching threats. This compact lagomorph, weighing up to 3 pounds and measuring nearly a foot in length, has evolved remarkable adaptations that allow it to extract sufficient nutrition from the desert's sparse and often toxic plant life. The cottontail's ears serve as both early warning systems and sophisticated cooling devices. These oversized appendages can detect the approach of predators from remarkable distances, picking up the nearly silent wing beats of hunting owls or the soft footfalls of stalking foxes. Simultaneously, the large surface area and extensive blood vessel networks in the ears function as biological air conditioners, radiating excess body heat and allowing the rabbit to remain active during temperature conditions that would force other small mammals to seek shelter. The rabbit's digestive system represents one of nature's most efficient processing plants for low-quality forage. Cottontails practice a behavior called secotrophy, producing special soft feces that they immediately reconsume, allowing food to pass through their digestive system twice and extracting maximum nutrition from sparse desert vegetation. This adaptation enables them to survive on plant materials with extremely low protein content and high concentrations of defensive chemicals. Foraging strategies in the desert cottontail demonstrate remarkable behavioral flexibility in exploiting the desert's patchy and seasonal plant resources. During spring, when desert wildflowers bloom briefly after winter rains, the rabbits feed selectively on the most nutritious flowers and new growth. Throughout the rest of the year, they subsist on the tough, often chemically defended leaves and stems of perennial desert shrubs, showing remarkable tolerance for compounds that would be toxic to most herbivores. The cottontail's reproductive strategy reflects the boom and bust nature of desert resources. During years of good rainfall and abundant plant growth, females can produce multiple litters, taking advantage of improved nutrition to support the high-energy demands of lactation and kit rearing. During drought years, reproduction may be dramatically reduced or cease entirely, allowing adults to conserve energy for their own survival. Water acquisition in desert cottontails showcases remarkable physiological efficiency. The rabbits can survive for extended periods without drinking, extracting most of their water requirements from vegetation consumed during the cooler morning and evening hours. When plant tissues contain maximum moisture content, their kidneys concentrate waste to extraordinary levels, and they produce dry fecal pellets that contain minimal water content. As the cottontail bounds away from its resting spot in a series of zigzag leaps designed to confuse pursuing predators, its white-tail flash serves as a final defensive adaptation, potentially startling attackers and providing a visual distraction that may allow escape. But the desert's web of relationships extends beyond the terrestrial realm, and some of its most remarkable inhabitants have mastered the art of exploiting the three-dimensional nature of the desert landscape. While most small desert mammals seek shelter from the punishing midday sun, a remarkable rodent boldly ventures across the blazing desert floor when ground temperatures exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit. The ground squirrel, weighing barely 5 ounces but possessing adaptations that allow it to remain active during conditions that would quickly prove fatal to most mammals, represents one of the most thermally tolerant creatures in the Mojave ecosystem. The ground squirrel's most distinctive behavioral adaptation is its ability to use its own body as a portable shade system. When foraging on superheated surfaces, the squirrel frequently pauses to press its lightly furred belly against the scorching ground, using this contact cooling to absorb dangerous excess heat from its core organs. This behavior, combined with rapid movements between shaded refugia, allows the animal to exploit food resources that are completely unavailable to competitors during the hottest parts of the day. The squirrel's tail serves multiple crucial functions in its heat management strategy. The long, bushy appendage can be curved over the animal's back and head like a living parasol, providing portable shade that reduces solar heat gain by up to 40%. The tail's light-colored underside reflects additional heat, while the extensive blood vessel networks within the tail facilitate rapid heat dissipation through panting and increased circulation. Foraging behavior in the antelope ground squirrel demonstrates remarkable dietary flexibility that allows it to exploit both plant and animal resources across the desert's seasonal cycles. During spring, the squirrel feeds extensively on desert wildflowers and new plant growth, obtaining both nutrition and water from these ephemeral resources. Throughout the year, it also hunts insects, takes eggs and nestlings when opportunity arises, and even scavenges carrion when available. The ground squirrel's cheek pouches allow rapid food collection during brief foraging excursions across dangerously hot terrain. These expandable storage organs can hold large quantities of seeds and plant material, allowing the squirrel to gather substantial food supplies during short exposure periods and process them in the safety and relative coolness of its burrow system. Water balance in this heat-tolerant species showcases physiological adaptations that approach the limits of mammalian capability. The antelope ground squirrel can survive without drinking for extended periods, meeting its water requirements through metabolic water production and the consumption of succulent plant tissues. Its kidneys concentrate waste to extraordinary levels, and its respiratory system recovers moisture from exhaled air with remarkable efficiency. Burrow construction and use in the antelope ground squirrel reflects sophisticated understanding of thermal dynamics and predator avoidance. The animals excavate extensive tunnel systems with multiple entrances and chambers, creating underground refugia where temperatures remain moderate even during the most extreme surface conditions. These burrows also provide secure food storage areas and safe havens during the brief but intense desert winter cold periods. As the ground squirrel darts between patches of shade during its seemingly suicidal midday foraging expedition, its success in exploiting this temporal niche demonstrates the remarkable ways in which life can adapt to even the most extreme conditions. But its presence during the heat of day also serves as a reminder that the desert's complex web of relationships continues to function even under conditions that seem to preclude biological activity entirely. The bold persistence of this small mammal in the face of seemingly impossible odds provides a fitting conclusion to our journey through the remarkable community of species that call the Mojave Desert home. These 20 creatures represent just a fraction of the biological diversity hidden within what many still consider to be empty wasteland. But their stories reveal the extraordinary power of evolution to create life forms perfectly suited to conditions that challenge the very limits of biological possibility. As the ground squirrel completes its daring midday foraging run and disappears into the safety of its burrow, the entrance to a nearby abandoned ground squirrel tunnel reveals a pair of bright yellow eyes watching the desert floor with intense focus. A burrowing owl, standing barely 10 inches tall but possessing hunting skills that rival any raptor, has claimed this underground real estate as the foundation for one of the desert's most unusual predatory strategies. Unlike its tree-dwelling relatives, the burrowing owl has evolved to exploit the desert's terrestrial hunting opportunities while maintaining the safety of underground refugia. The bird's long, powerful legs allow it to run across the desert floor at remarkable speeds, pursuing insects, small reptiles, and rodents with ground-based hunting techniques that are virtually unique among owls. Its flight capabilities remain intact for escaping larger predators or capturing aerial prey, but much of its hunting occurs at ground level. The owl's relationship with the desert's extensive rodent burrow systems demonstrates remarkable behavioral flexibility. Rather than excavating their own tunnels, burrowing owls typically appropriate abandoned burrows created by ground squirrels, prairie dogs, or other fossorial mammals. The owls modify these structures to suit their specific needs, creating nesting chambers and food storage areas, while maintaining multiple escape routes during the breeding season. Burrowing owls exhibit one of the most unusual defensive behaviors found in desert raptors. When threatened at their nest burrows, the birds produce vocalizations that precisely mimic the sound of rattlesnakes, often causing potential predators to retreat, rather than risk encountering a venomous serpent in the confined space of a burrow system. From its elevated perch on a sun-heated boulder that overlooks a maze of rocky washes and desert flats, a male collared lizard displays one of the most spectacular color patterns in the entire Mojave ecosystem. This robust reptile, reaching lengths of over a foot, and displaying brilliant blues, greens, and yellows that seem impossible in the muted desert landscape, represents the ultimate expression of territorial dominance and thermal mastery in the rocky uplands of the desert. The collared lizard's hunting strategy combines patience with explosive bursts of speed that can reach nearly 16 miles per hour. When pursuing prey, the lizard rises up on its powerful hind legs and runs in a bipedal gait that gives it the appearance of a miniature dinosaur racing across the desert floor. This upright running posture allows it to achieve maximum speed while maintaining visual contact with fast-moving prey, such as smaller lizards, insects, and even young birds. The lizard's territorial behavior transforms the rocky desert landscape into a complex network of defended territories, each centered around optimal basking sites and hunting perches. Males establish dominance through elaborate visual displays, push-up competitions, and occasional fierce battles that can result in serious injury to the losers. The brilliant breeding colors serve as both territorial markers and indicators of male fitness to potential mates. As the collared lizard surveys its rocky domain from its elevated throne, its presence influences the behavior of numerous smaller reptiles throughout the area. This spectacular predator represents the final testament to the incredible diversity of adaptations that allow life to not merely survive, but flourish with remarkable beauty and complexity, even in one of Earth's most challenging environments. The Mojave Desert, despite its reputation as an empty wasteland, has become one of the most heavily impacted ecosystems in North America due to human activities that began accelerating dramatically in the late 20th century. Urban expansion from Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Phoenix has consumed hundreds of thousands of acres of desert habitat, fragmenting ancient wildlife corridors and eliminating critical water sources. Off-road vehicle recreation has created a spiderweb of unauthorized trails that destroy fragile biological soil crusts, eliminate native vegetation, and create erosion patterns that can take centuries to heal. Perhaps most significantly, the desert has become a focal point for renewable energy development, with massive solar and wind installations covering areas larger than many national parks. While these projects serve important climate goals, they have eliminated habitat for species like the desert tortoise and disrupted migration routes that have existed for millennia. Military training activities, mining operations, and livestock grazing continue to degrade vast areas of seemingly pristine desert. The compounding effects of climate change have intensified drought conditions and pushed temperature extremes beyond the tolerance limits of even the most heat-adapted species. Water table drawdowns from human consumption have eliminated desert springs that served as critical wildlife refugia for thousands of years. Invasive plant species, introduced accidentally through human activities, have altered fire regimes and outcompeted native species that evolved over millions of years. However, growing recognition of the desert's ecological value has sparked significant conservation efforts. Protected areas have been expanded, restoration projects have begun healing damaged landscapes, and research programs have revealed the extraordinary biological diversity hidden within what was once dismissed as barren wasteland. The challenge now lies in balancing human needs with the preservation of these remarkable evolutionary achievements that represent millions of years of adaptation to one of Earth's most extreme environments. Amazed by the incredible wildlife of the Mojave Desert and how they thrive in extreme heat, which one's your favorite? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more wild stories from nature's toughest survivors.